Howdy, folks. I want to talk for a quick minute about Turnitin, okay? So Turnitin is a plagiarism detection software that Prairie State uses. I use it for any of the writing assignments that really require you to create a long block of text, okay? That's going to be annotations, or your summaries, rather, not the annotations themselves, but the summaries, and then your essays, okay? And you can always tell if it's a Turnitin folder. It's got this little Lego brick icon as opposed to the little paper inbox folder, okay? I don't really actually use it much for plagiarism detection. I do occasionally look at those reports, but it's not something I'm keeping a constant eye on. But they are really useful for you as a writer to see how you write. So this video is going to walk you through real quickly how to do that. Now, every time I use a Turnitin folder, you have access to see your report. So anytime after you've submitted a file, okay, you just need to go back to that folder in content, okay, find a little Lego brick icon, and then, click the open link file. It should take you to another tab here. It'll open a new tab if I've done it right. And it's going to have a couple things here. On the left-hand side, it'll have the original file name and everything. And on the right-hand side, it's going to have a handful of different things. Now, you guys know how to go in and see your grade. So if you come here and click your grade, it'll open up all the feedback. The other thing you can do is click on the similarity button. That'll open a new tab yet again, okay? And what I really kind of wanted to walk you through here is how this works, okay? So right now it's pretty blank. What you want to do, make sure you click on that number, okay? It says 17%. So there's a few things we should note here. First, one, it gives you a percentage number. It will actually change color. It'll be blue when it's really low, green when it's relatively low, and then yellow, orange, and red as it gets higher. What does this number mean? What this number tells us is the percentage of your text that Turnitin is found in other sources, okay? Whether that is a web page, another student's essay, whatever, okay? There's no magic number here. I'll talk about that in a second. And again, this is taking into consideration things like your quotation. So all it's doing is checking your paper against its rather wide range of things, okay? Now, the important thing here, I'm going to try, let me see if I can zoom this up a little bit. There we go. It will highlight anything that it finds, any set of passages, anything that it finds in an outside source. So you can see right here the phrase, the U.S. Census Bureau and the National Center for Education Statistics. It found this, and it is 1, 2, 3, like 8, 10 words in a row. Okay, fine. So it identified this as coming from an outside source. What does this tell me? I'm absolutely taking one look at this and saying, oh, obviously, this is not the first time someone have put those two organizations' names next to each other, okay? You don't need to do anything. You don't need to change anything. I'm not worried about this. As you work your way through here, okay, so less than a high school diploma is 27.9. And so you can see that it has actually tracked down a source that the author of this paper is citing from. Okay, and you can see that this number is sort of line up. It's just a couple words. Is it something I worry about? No, not really, but let's go ahead and go take a look further down here. And you get into things like right here, okay, U.S. Adults comprise 34% of the population with low literacy skills in comparison to 15% of the total population. This is the place where the author of this piece, however, intended to paraphrase, and the computer is able to identify exactly where this came from because all the author really did here was change a couple different words. So this is a place where I would be concerned. It's not that it's out and out plagiarism, but it is a place where the author intended to paraphrase, but didn't actually do a very good job of putting things in their own words. And ultimately, the goal here, of course, in paraphrasing is to explain something more clearly and more concretely than the study or whatever you're citing from does, okay? So this is a great situation where it's clear that The student was paraphrasing, but did not indeed paraphrase it very well. As a writer, you can run this your report through Turnitin and then take a look and say, okay, it's identified this. It's found that this passage is kind of copied from the source. Either I need to actually quote it and make sure it is a quote, or alternatively, I need to do a better job of paraphrasing it. Okay, and we'll see that again later on. There are some different places here: 3 domains: literacy, numeracy, digital problem solving. Okay. And so we can see sort of like that there are a couple spots here where we might want to go back in and take a look. Again, we get this phrasing here, okay? So what can you do with Turnitin? Number 1, check to see if you paraphrased as well as you think you did, okay? Number 2, see if any one source is totally dominating, okay? So it gives you the percentages in which of your paper that come from different sources. If one source seems to have a whole load, that might just be that you've got a long quote from that organization or that source. It might also indicate that just you've got a big chunk of your paper from one spot, okay? Now, when it comes to this number, this 17% number, what does this tell me? 17% tells me you looked at sources, you're citing sources, you're probably mostly paraphrasing as opposed to quoting, and that you've done some research, okay? You can have a paper that says 100% or at least 99% and still it not be plagiarized. It wouldn't be a good paper because all you're doing is giving me more or less an entire piece that somebody else wrote. But it would be not plagiarized. You could cite it properly. Okay, so this percentage doesn't indicate more or less plagiarism. It's more or less outside sources. My general rule here is that once you get over 30, maybe 35%, your paper starts to feel like it's overrun by quotes. Okay, because this is identifying, again, quotations. So if this is over 30%, I start to get a little antsy about whether or not your voice is actually coming through or you're just putting a whole lot of information in there in quotes without explaining it very well, okay? So that's where this can be useful. The other thing that's really useful here is if you think you quoted something and you forgot to put, it will find all the quotes and you got to make sure that you obviously have them cited correctly. Okay, so that's what we've got going on here. Please feel free anytime I use a Turnitin folder, you can run your paper through and then resubmit. If there's something wrong with it, go ahead and make an update to it. Submit again. It'll erase the old one and put the new one in. Okay. As always, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to let me know. I'm here to help.